Progressives need not only to be able to criticize this debacle in Iraq and the policies that put us there, progressives also have to address directly and affirmatively what our vision is for national security for this country and how we are going to take the nation there. What is progressive national security? It is impossible for us to do not only the fundamental work, police work, investigations, intelligence gathering, to deal with that inner circle. But we fail to understand, and certainly the administration has failed to understand what we are talking about when we're dealing with terrorism. It is not a war, first of all. By making it a war, you make Osama bin Laden a warrior and not a criminal. And you allow him a capacity to rally that outer circle against the United States against what Osama bin Laden describes as the Crusaders. Terrorism is a tactic. It is a desperate tactic used by people in a desperate situation against a much more powerful foe. And the reason that they are able to sustain and build their capacity for terrorism and to use these tactics is because of our fundamental misunderstanding and the way in which we are systematically alienating that outer circle.
Now, I just felt that I was thinking in my mind as I was putting this talk together, what were the first transnational threats? And given that it's the Easter Passover season, I couldn't think that the 10 plagues of Israel were indeed the first transnational threats documented in a book. And you see them here, and I don't mean this to under or minimize what transnational threats are, but in fact the Egyptians going it alone were not able to combat any of them, and I think there is an analogous situation today in the way the United States tries to deal with transnational threats, and I also love the illustration. Now, the roots of insecurity. We have lots of insecurities today, but many of them come in the form of civilians' lives lost. They come in the fact that 200 to 300,000 people die in armed conflict each year, and this is the low figure. There is a great debate in the literature, something you probably don't need to engage in, about what is low and what is high, but any loss of human life, civilian human life as a result of war, people who are not soldiers but victims, is an incredible threat. The same number of people that die in conflict also die of lack of sanitation and water. This is the 21st century. People in many countries live in 14th century conditions. And finally, underdevelopment supports insecurity of person and state. And one of the biggest challenges, in spite of the increase of the development budget in this government, is that underdevelopment itself still remains a key factor.
In the last election, the only thing that the Democratic and Republican candidates could agree on was that nuclear proliferation was the #1 security threat to the United States. These threats have grown over the last decade, not shrunk. And the second factor that contributes to this new moment is the complete failure of the existing policies to address these threats successfully. The collapse of the Bush Doctrine. When President Bush took office, he and his advisors mocked the existing security paradigm. They wanted nothing to do with multilateral national arrangements and international fora as a method for diplomatically negotiating and preventing these nuclear threats. They had a new and better idea, they said. They had identified the nuclear threat as that nexus of rogue states, terrorists, and nuclear weapons. And instead of negotiating treaties, they would make military force the major instrument of U.S. statecraft. We would eliminate these rogue regimes before they could acquire these nuclear weapons. The Iraq War, launched 5 years ago this week, was the first implementation of this radical regime change strategy. It has been a miserable failure.
You know, I came here as a freshman, naive congressman, but when the administration and my conservative friends in Congress want us to grant retroactive immunity to the telephone communications companies, we say, wait a minute, what for? Before you can get, he teaches this when he was teaching the beginning classes in law school. You can't give immunity for something you don't know what they did and what you're giving immunity for. And it's certainly not going to be retroactive. Boy, that would make bad things to be taught in a law school if they said that, well, the Congress granted retroactive immunity because they said they were working hard to protect this. You know, I'm getting a little bit tired of these people bringing out the terrorist card on me every time we want to implement the Constitution or protect rights. I think it's a false choice that we have to choose between giving up our liberties and protecting the citizens of this country. We can protect our citizens, fight these terrorists every step of the way, and not give up one constitutional right of our citizens. There's no problem.
My name is Miles Mogileski. I'm an activist with California One Care, which is fighting for single-payer health care in California. If we do have a Democratic president and Democratic majorities after November, we will have the best opportunity, probably since the Truman administration, to enact universal health care in this country. That's number one. And if we fail to achieve it in this period of time, we may lose that possibility for another generation.
So my name is Courtney Farr. I'm a member of the Physicians for National Health Program and the California Nursing Association. I am a very active member of both organizations. Between the two. Now what the presidential nominees are doing, like Miles Mogileski was mentioning earlier, is they're forcing us pretty much, their plan saying mandated private health insurance. Oh, that sounds great. But you think about it, I was just comparing these two systems right now. So basically, insurance companies are forcing you to get this private insurance with these monster co-pays, these high deductibles, and you can still go into bankruptcy, you can destroy your life. Has it really, and you haven't really gotten all that much better service. We want something, we want a designer plan. We want to upgrade. We want Medicare for all.
People come to America for health care from all over the world, and why not? We've got the best doctors, the best schools, the best research, the best medical appliances. We've got it all, except it's not available for everybody. Small problem.